Well, well, well. Let's go back to here for now. All right, y'all. I will be on here momentarily. Gotta make some coffee. And notify my Discord squad. Yo, 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 yo. Actually, let us start here. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we're back with another beautiful opportunity to get after it. Today is hump day, okay? You might not believe it, but I am the Asian man that you're looking for. I know, it's crazy. But we all can be whatever we want to be. It's the beauty of 2025. All right, so let's jump into the charts. If you're new here, introduce myself real quick. My name is Forrest. I'm a day trader. I invest in stuff. I think that everybody should too. 7-figure day trader. And I like long walks on the beach. So, let me expand this a little bit. That's probably good. Okay. Let's see here. I should have logged into my account before. We'll just log into this paper account. It's whatever. All right, folks. Market is already open, but we should start with some analysis first. Sorry I got on late. I'm a very busy guy, so love you guys too. Let's go to the daily chart, and let's just take a look. Okay, no expectations, clear your minds. Okay, don't worry if you missed. There was some action here at the open. Forget about it. It's already happened. There's nothing you can do about that. Okay, what we need to ask ourselves is, what is the opportunity coming up? Not even necessarily today, but it could be tomorrow, Friday. Okay, the weekly candle. We can actually take a look at the weekly chart. Right now is a doji. First question we should always ask ourselves as traders is, what is even possible? Okay, now there's some simple ways to think about this. We can just look at the magnitude of these candles. Let me clean up this line. We don't need this. And let me actually just go over to NQ, because I don't have to do this twice. Okay, you can see my targets. By the way, got to shout myself to the penny. My projection on this, okay, another reason for you to join our Discord community. Had a nasty, absolutely phenomenal swing long into this, and then I took just an RTH short out of this as well, right? The short honestly was really more for ego. Made way more money on the long. I'm not gonna lie to you guys, but took it an amazing projection to this target here, right? And I measured this when we were down here, I think a few weeks ago. So the power of practice. Now that I'm done stroking my ego, let's just measure some of these candles and ask ourselves what's possible. So this week was 524 points. Okay, the down week was 336. This next up week was 514. There are indicators that will give you the ATR. Okay, I don't use them. I think that this is a better way to do it. I don't think it's a simpler way to do it. I don't think it's a lazy way to do it. It could be simpler. It could be lazier. I do it this way because I think it's better. Okay, we want our trading to be as simple as possible. 500, 300, 500. We have a down candle. So very likely, okay, we're gonna have a 300 point-ish down candle. Okay, it's gonna close maybe around this low. Okay, maybe it's a little bit higher, but anywhere between 300 to 500 points for this week makes sense. Okay, so let's just write that down. Okay, 300 to 500 points makes sense. So if your expectation for the rest of this week is outside of that, you have to understand that you're basically looking for an exceptional move in the current market meta. You're looking for an exceptional move. Even if we go back to these weeks here, okay, this was 800, okay, so they're a little bit bigger, right? But in the current weeks, we're looking at 300 to 500 points. So anything beyond that, it's like 550 points, but whatever, you guys get the point. Anything outside of the size of these candles would be exceptional, okay? So if we go to the daily, we just keep that in mind on the daily, right? We have this trend line down here, okay? I'll make it easier to see for you guys on stream. Let's just make this a line. So we have this trend line down here on the daily, which I 100% think is in play. It's possible. Are we going to hit that today? I don't think so. Okay, for us to come down to this line today would be a 900-point day on NQ. All right, so if you're looking for a 900-point day, that'd be an exceptional day. Now, maybe you have some data or something that says that that might happen. Probably not, right? So, what's up, Josh? Good morning. Oh, also, shout out to everybody that's here. SMK, Prabhu, Shane, SK Procur, Carbs, Dallin, and of course, Josh. Welcome back. Josh, I am actually going to follow up on some of that conversation that we had before, because I need to find a clipper for my streams is what I need. Conquistador, good morning. Yo, shout out to Conquistador, put in the work. Shout out to everybody put in the work. Conquistador has been sharing the evidence of his work. I know a lot of you guys are consistent and things like that. He's been sharing it. He's one of my coaching students. Amazing progress. Keep up at it. I know it's easy sometimes to take your foot off the gas, especially without the outside validation. I've been very busy. I apologize, so I can't always say good job, but stay on it, y'all. Stay on it. Profits will be all the gratitude that you need. So this trend line is in play. For us to come down to here, let's just put a measuring tool on our charts here. Okay, this would be around 900 points. So very unlikely to happen today. And of course, because we're volume profile traders, we do have some very obvious, support down here in this node. Okay, so we have an auction below us. Okay, and we have the prior day here. So very likely we're gonna close probably in this range in the weekly, right? So we're still in that higher time frame mode of thinking, okay, where is this weekly candle gonna close? Most likely. What I could see, okay, if we crack the ceiling of this node, okay, I could see us traversing it, right? Node traversal is very common. We come down, whoops, we attack these lows over here, okay, 22,800, and we traverse this node. But very unlikely for us to do 900 points in 3 days here. Is it impossible? No. So I'm never saying something's impossible or it won't happen. There's no real point in calling out every single possibility, okay? Yeah, that's not the goal as a trader, is to say, well, if I say everything, then I'll be right. No, it's really like, what are the 1 or 2 most likely scenarios? And if another unlikely scenario happens, which they do, that's fine, okay? And maybe you get in on those otherwise, right? But we're really trying to figure out what's most likely as traders. Okay, so that's what's likely on the daily. Let's go down to the 8 hour. Okay, we'll just keep drilling down. And we're actually gonna swap over. I know I'm doing this on NQ, but ES is the leader. So we're gonna swap over to these other time frames. We'll take a real quick glance at ES on the weekly. Okay, this is the stuff that we wrote down yesterday. Okay, all of this is still true. We're still ranging, we're still in an uptrend, we're still pushing the highs at the end of last week. There is that trend line, and yeah, all that's still true. Okay, so all-time highs still here. In terms of the weekly, keep in mind, okay, we're very unlikely to beat the magnitude of these candles on the weekly. Okay, so even if this keeps pushing higher, if it comes lower, it's gonna be around this size-ish. Okay, 112 points. We have 56 points. We'll go to the daily. Okay, in the daily, you can see that we have this channel that we're still in. Okay, we did poke 2 holes in the ceiling. Okay, we poked some holes in the ceiling, but we're still respecting this general trend, and we're respecting this general trend, okay, on the daily. So this is a little weird price action. Go look at some previous channels. This does happen. Okay, we can still come down and do something like this. Okay, we're still in this range of prices. Okay, totally possible. So what we want to see here today is, are we going to respect this obvious trend? Okay, and there are a few key levels that make it easy for us to understand where we're at, right? So there are these highs here, right? There's the actual high that we'd have to contend with, 63.77, and then there is this low, and then there's the prior day low, right? So those are the near-term auction mechanics. There's this node that we're playing in right here. Okay, so we're in kind of this auction here. We're in this channel. We're building value here at the highs as well. Let's go to the 8 hour, take a peek. You can see that we have a little top book forming. Go to the 4 hour, here. Okay, so on the 8 and the 4, we can kind of see that we have this pattern developing. Okay, so this wouldn't be a bad place to take a short just off of risk alone. Okay, shorting here. Okay, look at what my risk could be. Let's just say that I just want to hold this to the bottom of whatever this is, right? So my stop is essentially just literally all-time highs. This is even if, and this is a really important concept, so I'll make sure to say it clear. Even if this trade doesn't work out, shorting the actual highs, okay, when there is, especially when there's some technicals to support it, is good risk. Okay, now you want some edge and things to support your trade. You don't want to just do like that in general. But even across thousands of trades, I can tell you, especially across trades that I've reviewed, a lot of people don't short high and they don't long low. They do the opposite and they try to support it. But if you short the highs and you long the lows, you're very probably going to be green. Okay, so just from a pure risk standpoint, this isn't a bad trade. It could take days for this trade to work out. Okay, you essentially are just saying, hey, is the market going to do all-time highs before the end of this week? That's a legitimate question that we should ask ourselves. Is the market going to crack a new high at the end of this week? And we could just go back to the weekly candle. Okay, we can look at it. And, you know, unfortunately for this little short, I do think it's possible. Okay, I do think that we could crack a high. But from a risk perspective, we're risking very little on the option that it comes down and we just have another red candle back to back here. We essentially have we close the week as another red doji, okay? Low volume red doji at the highs here, okay? I don't see one way or the other, to be honest. I don't have a lot of bias one way or the other in terms of how this is gonna close. I wish I did, but because we hit my target on Monday or whatever day that was, Tuesday, yesterday, I think it was a Monday, the market is kind of doing something interesting. Not interesting, but so if we go back to here, we hit my macro target. Okay, so from here, the market should kind of either lose steam, which it kind of it did, right? So we came up, we hit my target on Monday, and now it's coming off, right? The foot's coming off the gas. So this week it's just been more, it's just, I expect to be more of a muted week unless we crash down to this trend line here, to be honest. The exceptional move, and I don't mean exceptional in a good way, I mean exceptional in terms of like statistical probability, like unlikely would be for us to just crack this, you know, and race higher, you know, through the end of this week here. Let's take a look at, yeah, we don't have any data today. Tomorrow is, if we're gonna have a move, it's gonna be tomorrow. Okay. Sorry, let me check the chat. I've not been looking here. Still haven't received. Let me go ahead and do that. News at 10. Today? Do you have news at 10 today? We don't have news at 10 today. Yeah, not today we don't. But let me check in on those accounts real quick. There's a lot going on over at MFF. They just announced some new accounts. Email these guys right now, folks. I got you guys. Don't want to leave you hanging. These are my to-dos for today. Okay. All right, I just sent them a follow-up note on the accounts. Thanks for the reminder. Only existing home sales came out today. So I care very little about most news. I think existing home sales is actually useful. It tells us how real people are actually affected by the economy. Okay, buying a house is one of the biggest decisions. It's the biggest decisions that most people make. The unsophisticated investor or regular person often thinks of a house as an investment, even though it isn't. But it's where they tie up all of their net worth, right? So they make a big deal out of it. And so it's a really good indicator for how I would say the real economy is doing. The market technically, all right, if you think about the market, the difference between the stock market and how people are doing, the stock market is at all-time highs, right? If you ask people how they feel about the economy, though, they're definitely not going to be like, oh, I feel like everything's better than it ever was. Because the stock market isn't a measure of money in people's pockets. It's a measure of value in corporations' pockets, essentially, right? Very, very different things. So pending home sales or new home sales, all of the home sales numbers, I think, are a good metric they're a good barometer for how people are doing. So I do like watching those numbers there. We do kind of have a head and shoulders pattern here that's formed here on NQ. This is on the, I don't even know what time frame it is, doesn't matter. It's like a 1 hour, I think I'm on. So we could come down to 22,947. Key levels every day, by the way. Let's go to the 4 hour. So prior day low, prior day high are always key, right? So I don't really like having all these lines on my chart, but we got prior day low here, overnight low doesn't really matter, and we've got our overnight high here, 22,285. These are key edges in the auctions, right? So the EU session, obviously overnight session, 3 a.m. is important. People get positioned there, so we care about that pivot in the market. We'll often attack in a session. You'll go after you either go after prior day low and prior day high, and then you go after the contra side, like the overnight session, right? You're very unlikely in a day, just as a reminder, to sweep prior day low and prior day high. It's very, very unlikely. So if you sweep the prior day low in a session and you're thinking, well, dang, is it going to V recover to prior day high? No, it's not. Very unlikely. Does it happen? Sometimes. But it's very unlikely. It was higher than estimated. Well, there you go. Oh. This is some terrible oatmeal. This is some terrible oatmeal, folks. Oh, I have a lot of stuff cooking with the business. I need to figure out a way to like take this camera and like live stream throughout the day. I think I can do it with my DJI. I'm gonna show you guys some of the other stuff we have cooking. Had a cool meeting yesterday with a former NBA player. The build out's going well. We have more partnerships kind of budding. It's actually crazy what I have going on right now. If I really sit down and assess it, it doesn't make sense. But here we are. Here we are. Ladies and gentlemen, do you guys see this red like letter F overlay? I imagine you do. I need to turn that off. It's kind of just taking up a chunk of the screen. Like the stream, please. If you don't mind. Help a brother out. Hook me up with a like on YouTube if you're on Instagram watching. What's good? Good morning. Just started streaming on the gram. Over here on YouTube. About to crack 18K on YouTube, which is nuts. Which is absolutely nuts. It's just crazy. We're growing. 10 o'clock. just hit here. Let's check the 4 hour. So you can see the 4 hour closed, high volume, down candle, coming for these prior day lows here. Would not be surprised if we finish this pattern here, though I will say, okay, a bar like this, we need to see how the next 15 minutes play out here, essentially, right? If we're gonna crack into this auction and bleed lower, or if we're just gonna go ahead and range right up to here, right? If we turn on our session VP here, we'll come back to the 1, turn our session on. You can see our POC is way up here at 63.70. If we turn it on for NQ, you can see it's up there as well. So they need to build value lower for us to crack into this auction below. Otherwise, we're just gonna have a very rangy day, which we've been having. Okay, we'll have a very rangy day, come back up to the POC, and probably up to VAH, right? Like 100 points back up. Very, very likely. I think that's actually so likely that I'll close this little paper trade, just so you guys aren't confusion. I think that's more likely than it bleeding lower right now, just based off of what I'm seeing here. Might it bleed lower? Maybe. We are below the VAL, so if it holds below VAL here, it could start to bleed lower in this session. But this isn't necessarily a... Oh, my foot. Dang, I'm getting old. I'm not looking for much today, to say the least. My big trade is, at least in the 7-day cycle, has already been hit, right? I had a 500-point swing. Got some more sprinkles on the cake, shorting this, my macro level, and now I'm big chilling. Big chillong. What's up, IG squad? See you guys hanging out. Letter F is small on my end, bottom right quarter. There you go. That's what I like to hear. Don't want to block your guys' view. Let's take a hop around the market. Take a look at what we've got going on. Gold futures. Gold is cracked above this node here. Interesting. Big old bottom wick. This is probably gonna crank higher. I do like this gold look here. Let me get a take a look here. This is bleeding lower. Let's see if let's just jump to the 15 really quickly. Yeah, there's competition between these time frames. On the higher time frame, I do think we're going to range lower. The issue is that the auction right now, we have a very strong P shape, so it's just a low quality trade. I'm not interested in. I already took the best short I was going to get, which was shorting like this to the penny. So I'm not interested in playing around down here. Maybe I'll leave some money on the table. It's whatever. I do think gold, though, looks like it's going to push to probably this prior resistance, 3474.7, and that could be a good trade right there. Could be. Could be. MFF code is only showing 15% off. I think the full discount is for new account holders. So if you're not a new account holder, you might have to pay full price. I don't know, to be honest. Let me look at the promo. They just announced those new accounts yesterday as well. I have to review them. I have not looked at them or even thought about it, to be honest. So I'm holding my opinion on those. I'll see kind of how good or not good they are once I take a look. But yeah, I'm just holding my thoughts for now. Gold is cranking higher. I do think this is going to go to POC. I think gold is probably going to, just off of this tap out of this liquidity. There's a very high volume bottom wick out of this liquidity block here. So if we go to the daily on gold, you guys can get a better look at kind of what we're sitting in here. Big ass node right here. Okay, we popped out of it, bottom wicking it. So let's see if we come back to 34.77. Could be a little RTH trade for you. But we do have this POC session POC right up in here. Right up in here. That being said, 15% off of MFF accounts is not bad because their accounts are expensive. I do think their expert account is the best account, just because it's the most similar to a regular account. So I'll need to see if with their new accounts, if they have something like that still, or if they have switched it up on folks. You know, I've seen people praising it and complaining on Twitter. You know, Twitter is, you know, a cesspool of opinions. Not really where I look to for high IQ conversation. What else you guys want me to look at? We got gold. Let's take a look at platinum. Look at all the metals. I like some good old metal. Some good old metal. We got a low volume doji on the weekly on platinum. The weekly on platinum is just top wicking, red doji. I feel like it's losing steam, but this is a very different pattern than I trade, at least. I'm gonna actually journal this. This is interesting to me. I'll throw this in the old notebook. I have a hypothesis that I want to test. You guys know that I'm a certified scientist. Certified. You go ask a scientist about me, they'll tell you. They'll be like, yeah, that guy Forrest, that guy freaking test positive. Let's go to let's put this in here and call this platinum hypothesis. We are losing steam on the weekly due to the series of top wicks, though we aren't getting a clear topping out signal. Let's go to the monthly. The monthly is going to close in a few days. We swept this high. Let me do prior month high. Pivot. Let's see if we cross this level again. I'm still waiting. I've been watching platinum for weeks, guys. Just waiting for a short signal so I can swing this thing short. And I'm going to hold that until we hit the bottom. It's going to be a 6-figure trade for me. I'm literally just waiting. And just waiting. And you can see how waiting, because if I would have shorted any of these previous sweeps, I would have got smoked. Right? So if your initial thought to hearing that was like, why is he waiting so long? Because the trade wouldn't have freaking worked. Idiot. Alright, anyways. Let's go back to the other charts. In Q, not want to be on the monthly. Hi Forrest, giveaway form. Yeah, we could do a little giveaway. So we are building some volume lower, so this might bleed off here today. Let me grab the giveaway form for this week. July 21st. My merry band of there it is. There's the form. You can only enter once. If you enter multiple times, you're just not gonna win. It's only gonna count as one entry. I'm not gonna ban you or anything, but I'm gonna remove the duplicates. So don't do that. Don't be a silly goose. Do not be a silly goose. And Q bleeding lower. Hold on this low here. Let's see what it does. Yep, they keep building value lower here. We'll crack lower and we'll come down. My target then would be the 63.33 on the day. In Q, I don't really know. We do have a naked POC down here. But for the day, that'll be my target. Right there. We'll see. This needs to not bottom out here though. This is just, I mean, I'm telling you guys right now, I'm not trading these indices today. Just a lower quality setup, for me at least. Also, I'm just coming off a few hot days, so I'm gonna chill out. Cat is right under my chair. Oh, dude, my freaking hip flexor. Sign up for the giveaway. Check it out. Like the stream. Follow me on Instagram. If you're on YouTube, if you're on Instagram, join me over on YouTube. Check it out. Come make some money with us. I'm gonna hop off here in about 15 minutes. Gotta go run my business. Gotta go do that thing. Bleeding a little lower here. So naked POC on ES 23,000. Downside target. ES, we do have this node here, 63.46. And let's go to the 2 hour really quickly here to remove some of this noise. We don't really have a bottom side trend line to play off of, but we do have this shape. So this general shape here is what I would play inside of. Okay, the zigzag. Assuming we come down, we traverse this node here. This is a good area, right? So if you're in a short and you're looking for an exit, assuming this goes lower, this would be my landing zone here, 63.33 area. Just watch the volume here. It's a very grindy type of price action right now, and so if we get a fast candle, the fast candle could be in any direction. Right now, NQ, for example, is pushing lower, but it's pushing lower on low volume. Okay, so we need to be aware of what can happen when volume comes back in. We do have kind of like this smushed oval pattern. I'm building a little bit of volume here. Let's see. Yeah, I'm just not convinced. Not convinced either way. gold. Keep an eye on this one. See what happens here. What would I like to see to take action on in Q? Good question. So there's a few areas that we care about every single day. Okay, prior day low, overnight high. Right now we're outside of 70% of the volume, right? So the value area between these purple lines on a D day or a normally distributed day, right? This is like one standard deviation of volume, right? It's just where most of the volume is. So right now we're technically on the tail, or on one of the long tails of our distribution. So the problem with where we're sitting is that we're on the long tail of volume and we're still inside, like this zone right here is inside of the prior day low and it's outside of where most of our volume is on the session. So this is kind of just a no man's land right now. If, and I can't really draw this, if we were below the value area low and we had already swept this price, that would be a very bearish situation. But we don't have that. So we have some kind of like mixed matched kind of information. So anything that's happening right here is essentially noise to me. It's just noise. What I need is for something on the higher time frames to tell me what's happening. But on the lower, you're gonna have noise, right? You can see here it was bleeding lower, but because we're in a literal low volume area between key areas in the auction, once volume comes in, it's a coin flip. Straight up, it's a coin flip. So that's what I'm thinking, right? So I don't want to play in the noise. It's just a low probability space, and even if you're right playing the low probabilities, if you consistently play the low probabilities, it will work against you. There's also no reason trading futures to play low probability trades. Like, it's a linear product. If I was gonna go for like some outlandish move where there'd be a sudden change, right, you should be trading options. Like, you literally should be trading options if that's how you want to trade, because that unexpected outcome is going to spike IV and you'll get like an asymmetric return on your idea versus, getting 20 points because you guessed right. It's just not worth it. Victor Gaming Planet asked, you have made a video about this, but what is the unfair advantage futures have over Forex? Forex just isn't a good product to trade. So Forex trading is real. It is full of scammers though. It's a Forex doesn't have like a centralized exchange. So anytime you go to a Forex broker, they kind of make their own market, okay? The spreads are massive and it's just harder to do with no real benefit, straight up. Like, there's literally no benefit. So there's no volume, right? It's just a really bad idea to trade Forex. The only reason Forex trading became so big is because people network marketed the crap out of it. A bunch of people who don't even trade, but like, there's literally no reason to trade Forex. No volume. Okay, volume tells where people are positioned. It's like fundamental to trading. Massive spreads and decentralized exchanges, right? But you can't even use that to your advantage. It's not like you can arbitrage across exchanges with Forex, not as a retail investor at least. Like, there's just no point. If you're struggling as a trader and you've only traded Forex, just please switch to literally anything else. Buy and sell stocks. It'll be a lot easier. I'm telling you, it'll be a lot easier. Oh, what's up, Francis? I didn't realize that was you that asked that question. How's your trading going this morning, my brother? How are you looking? And again, this is really important. We very well might bleed off to this downside area, but because we're not at an edge, I just have no interest in taking it. The long that I took, for example, was off of oh, I zoomed out way too much. I zoomed out into infinity. All right. So I took a long off of this low right here, okay? The low of the channel, okay? And then I took a short once we tapped the top, right? I closed that short, but my initial short was this macro target, and it was this macro low. So I'm really, when I take my trades, like I'm waiting for perfect setups and then just riding those for max EV. I don't really care at this point in my career. This is gonna be the hardest. I'm bringing this up because it's really hard for people. I know some of you right now are getting chopped up. I can smell it through the screen. You have this need, this like festering need to figure it out and be unique and like make money today, and it's just not gonna matter. I'm telling you right now, it's so minuscule in the grand scheme of things. You know, whatever points you'll make in this noise today, I promise you. So what you can practice is doing nothing. If you don't have actual edge in this, just do nothing. Just watch. Maybe you come up with a hypothesis, maybe it gets hit, but don't even trade it. Just do nothing. On the sidelines, missed the gold drop, so just waiting. There you go. I am curious on gold if it's going to hold above this though. So the POC on gold is up here at 64.36. So I want to see if this holds here. Basically, if we hold this 34.14 and comes all the way up to, this is not within a single hour, but just on the macro, if gold's going to come back up here to 34.75 is an idea. It is very rangy. It popped outside of this little auction here. And we can see here that has done a little U-turn before, right? So it very well could do a little U-turn back into this price area. Wouldn't it be crazy? Click 56, good morning. What's good? What is good? Looking at stock charts, there are a lot of spaces like missing candles. Why does this happen, and how do people trade it? Specifically, swing trade. Looking at, do you have an example? Give me a ticker, and I'll hop on over to that ticker, and I can give you a very specific answer instead of a general one. That's a good question about gaps and how to trade the gaps. We're going to talk about how to even think about the gaps in the charts more so than even just needing to trade them. But I'll answer both questions. If you have not signed up for the giveaway, there's the form, by the way. Check it out. See here, right? This noise in this no man's land area. ES is back to POC. POC shifted lower here. Okay, so it's finding balance. And this is becoming more normally distributed here. Right, so let's just go to the lower time frames and see what we have here. All right. We got a weird chunk of auction down here. This could start to just range down here in this lower half of the day. It's possible. It's very possible. But in general, you can see why what I said is important, right? We're chopping. We're in no man's land. Okay. So the volume profile, that distribution is critical. It cannot be ignored. If you ignore it, You're probably suffering right now. I'm positive because of the way that this kind of dragged lower below VAL that people were shorting here and are in immense amount of pain right here. It's like a very classic short trap. Maybe it comes back to them. I don't know. Literally me not knowing or having certainty on the session is why I'm flat, but this could yeah, not a high probability day. Google stocks on the 1 or 4 hour time frame. Take a look at Goog. All right, so why do gaps happen? Basically, the market is open and then it closes, okay? What's up, Dev? Good morning. The market's open and it closes, and so these gaps can form usually around settlement, right? So when the market closes, it'll open and the price will essentially gap up. What'll happen when the market is closed is there are things that like called dark pools and stuff like that. Trading is still happening in the background, okay? So the exchange is closed, but firms can still do business with each other, right? And this will move the market, and then the market makers will mark the market according to, whatever the last trades were, okay? Or because it's an auction, there's multiple ways that this can happen. Or because this is an auction, just like in a real auction, okay, we assume that price has to move by one tick. The reason why price is like this on very liquid tickers, right, where we have very few gaps, is because of that liquidity. It's because there's so much participation. If you look at things that are very, very low volume, there are gaps all over the place. And it becomes intuitively simple why. The way that we get a candlestick is that there's a buyer and there's a seller. Okay, so let's say that this buyer and this seller, they meet up, they shake hands, and they say, cool, I'm going to sell you this share at this price. There's another seller, and there's another buyer, but they can't ever come to terms, right? This seller and this buyer can't ever come to terms, right? And let's just say that there's another seller at a way different price, and he finally comes to terms with that buyer. So in a thinly traded market, where you don't have a seller here, 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 and a buyer here, buyer here, buyer here, buyer here. If you have a seller here, a buyer here, and a buyer here, these are thinly traded, and you end up with these very gappy charts. Okay, so that's another reason that a gap can exist. Literally, there was no market here. Okay, it's another way that we could think about this. We don't know, right? To be clear, we don't know what scenario it is. Those are the two big scenarios. It can happen for all types of reasons. Okay, either there was literally no market there because the candlesticks are the story of where people transacted. Okay, that's literally what we're looking at. This is where transactions did happen. So there could have been no market here. On something like Google, that's probably unlikely. What's more likely is that after hours trading occurred, it moved the market higher. Okay, but on things that are thinly traded, I can't think of an example off the top of my head, but if you go up and down the options chain on any ticker, okay, things that are far out the money will be very thinly traded, and if you look at the charts for those, they're going to be very, very gappy. What's another example? And then, yeah, just like penny stocks that are thinly traded, you'll see that. So those are the reasons. How do you trade it depends on the different reasons, right? If something is thinly traded, like the whole knowledge of like, oh, the gap's going to get filled, it doesn't make sense, right? Because there's literally no one there. There's no one there to fill that gap. So the gap will literally never get filled. Most gaps don't get filled, okay? And that's not how I meant it. But, what's up, Sony? Welcome back. It really just depends on what you think the underlying auction mechanic is that has caused that gap to open. But don't just assume that a gap is going to be filled. Okay, that's not an assumption. It's something that people say. If you have a thesis that's moving towards a gap, okay, that gap can become a target, right? So if I think, oh, we're moving lower and then there's a gap below, well, then we're probably going to move to the gap, but I shouldn't say that we're going to move lower because there's a gap lower. Does that make sense? Hope it does. Cool. And gold is rounding over. Doing a little roundy. NQPOC moved lower. Normally I wouldn't watch the 5-minute guys, but I'm literally just seeing how this plays out for future reference. That's literally all I'm doing. Still not interested in trading this. I want to see how they play in this no man's land here. It's key to me. What time is it? Ooh. I'm over my allotted time. Well, for those of you who don't know, I am the COO of the Move Miami, right? And one of the owners. We are America's fastest growing and best and coolest content creation studio, bootstrapped directly from trading profits. So another good reason is to become a day trader. You can make a lot of money and you can invest in businesses and do that. But I got to go run that thing. So I'm going to hop off out of here. I love y'all. I appreciate you. Like the stream, share it, tell people, join it. Let's grow it. Okay. We're at about 23 people on right now. We can get that to 200. We could 10x this thing. Let me know what you want to see, what you want me to talk about here on stream. Not kind of a nothing burger day. Obviously, when I have probably the end of this week, we can start to plan for next week's thesis, right? But we already hit for those of you who aren't in the Discord or things like that, right? I sniped the absolute shit out of this level here. Sorry for cursing, but that was the last big thesis that hit. So once there's another one that presents itself, I will talk about that on stream. But for now, we're kind of chilling in the aftermath of that macro move. Leave you guys with something a little positive. Your dreams are worth going after, okay? We are all blessed with the absolute opportunity of being alive and experiencing life, right? That includes all of it, right? The pain, the anxiety, the self-doubt, but that's the other things too, right? The new experiences, the excitement, love, the passion, joy, the mystery, it's all out there. So keep chasing your dreams. I know it's hard as we get older. Okay, we all become a little bit jaded, so shake that off, reset, go and pour into yourself a little bit today, and I will see you on the next stream, whenever that is. Probably tomorrow. We'll see.